Experts tell us that there are 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. As I see it, the trick is to get through all 5 of them as quickly as possible. The time spent may be more miserable, but there's going to be less of it. It's starting to sprinkle again. In review, I have to give the first day of boat ownership a 10. I'd never had a boat before, was kind of excited to see what it was all about. I made it home with it safely. There were no flat tires, no bearings failed, and I have a spare motor in the back of my pickup. I mean, how could it get any better? Everything was fine until I was awakened at 3:28 a.m. by the distant rumble of thunder and flashes of daylight in the bedroom window. It looked like the storm was in the north and would be passing by. I'd been asleep about an hour, didn't want to get up, and do what? Maybe I could throw something over the motor, but what about the boat? The dashboard was already coming apart, and surely the boat's had water in it before. I started hearing sprinkles on the tin roof. The seats, woodwork floors, and all that stuff in the bilge will be getting wet. Water will get into the 327, causing more rust and corrosion, but my guess is it had been open for some time and already toast. So now, the boat was driving me. It needed me. Giving up, I moved the truck inside, and just as I turned off the bedroom light, it started raining and continued for an hour or two. See what I mean? In less than 5 minutes, I'd gone through all 5 stages of grief in one lap. This was a good lesson. From now on, expect the unexpected. The next morning, the bilge was nearly full of water. That's the bad news. The good news is, some of the trash floats, and everything else sort of clumped together at the bottom, making it easier to drain the water. As the sea level recedes, it looks like there's a lot of junk that needs to come out. Unfortunately, the seat frames are in the way and need to be removed first. The front seat frame had only 4 stainless screws holding it and came out while the camera battery was charging. It looks as though it's been rebuilt and not original. And I'll have more on that in the seat build video. Now forward, we have this plywood covering where the battery plates go. And that wood has been wet, so I think we're going to replace it. Then aft of the engine compartment is the support for the rear seat, and it has a lot of deterioration along here at the bottom, and also that piece of plywood. I think we ought to end up taking it out and replacing it while we're this close. And underneath here, I don't know if this camera's going to keep showing this or not, but we've got screws that are kind of in there and out of there. But what I want to show you is that these stainless screws came out all right, but these brass ones have cammed out all the way across. There was one, I guess they're bronze. This bronze screw here came out. So we're probably just going to have to wrench it out. It's wet. It could probably remain, but I think what we need to do is look in and see why this gas tank strap is loose, and clean out all of this back in here while we're at it. By the looks of it, the rear frame is original but has been removed or repaired. Before it can come out, the hull side wood trim along the side storage area must come out. Only about half the screws were still in the rail, and only half of them were holding anything. We're down. The biggest problem with the screws is the softness of the brass or the bronze. They hold good to the fiberglass, but cam out. The stainless ones came out fine, but the brass and bronze slotted screws cammed out, and some that turned wouldn't back out.
All right, see if we can get this out. Well, at this point, the screws that have stripped aren't doing us any good. Wires are still be caught behind some of this tape here. And this frame's about ready to come out. I got her. Get it. So what we're going to do is just pry it out of there. Oh, it's loose. There we go. All right. There she is. All right, so we made some progress in getting the rear seat frame out. Those boards we'll take out later, and we epoxy those holes and we'll fill them up and we'll be good. The rear bilge looks a little junky, but I think we can clean that up. Should be as good as new.
So with no other way to get the screws out, I used a 3/8 drill to relieve the wood around them. I went in on an angle to avoid going into the fiberglass and blocking, but no matter, the frames and rotting plywood over the tunnel had to be removed. Of course, it too had to have screws drilled out. So what does a big salad have to do with the Chris Craft rebuild? Every evening I like to have a big salad, a bowl full of chopped romaine with spinach leaves, cucumber, dark red kidney beans, no-fat Catalina dressing, and a dash of salad seasoning or California-style lemon pepper. A boat is like the bowl. It holds the historical record of what has been deposited over time by nature and the elements.
Yeah, well, cleanliness is next to godliness. So if we get the main part of the big pieces out of here, then in the morning that power washer can do its job on the rest of this. Having a boat's not all about boating, a little bit about cleaning.
By now, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance had combined into an attitude of do the next thing. There was no denying that the build had started. No use getting mad at screws that refused to come out. Talking about what happened and was likely to happen didn't make sense. Getting depressed was useless, so the only thing to do was accept reality. Getting the boat back in the water was going to require work. After a couple of hours of cleaning, I'd netted 2 quarters, a Phillips screwdriver, a brass washer, brass plug, and a rubbish bin nearly full of flotsam. From what I can tell so far, owning a boat is a responsibility, like having an additional family member. The best place for it to live is in the living room, where it can receive proper care and attention. Leaving it outside won't do. Like the monsters hiding in closets and under beds, the rain, sun, and snow are just waiting to spoil your rare chance for a full night's sleep. Remember, boats are made upside down to keep water out of the bottom and hold anything that comes from above, like a big salad. As the hole in the water is expected to get deeper, subscribe and submit your questions, comments, and what you'd like to see more of, and I'll try to make it happen. Thanks for watching.
I couldn't sit in it.
Why not?
Because